Listen,
No homo.
listen. As far as because I hear you reference, man, a lot about Christian hip hop and some of the mistakes or things, and we've conversated some of it off air sometimes, and we may even speak about it on air. Some of the dislikes or things that you don't like, and maybe I guess from a point I want to really talk about what could be done differently, because we could sit here and bash and look at all the negatives of what is not actually being done correctly, but what are some of the things you see that you don't like that you can be honestly real with, and then what some of the things that could easily change that just with, I guess, with direction, being more creative, or even something I heard you say that was really strong, hustling, like really getting where it gets pushed correctly and actually putting time into what you're talking about or doing.
You want to go into that?
I'm,
I'll go.
I'm gonna tie you into the so, and then you hit the main thing. I just feel like, with hip hop, in its early inception, it's just like growing pains. Same thing with Christian hip hop. When it got its chance, it was a little bit behind from the secular, and it's always been playing catch up. But I just feel like now, with the people that we've been blessed to work with, Ray, Anthony, Chino, Ray Maso. I mean, I just feel like the music is finally starting to catch up and reach its potential where it needs to be. You know what I mean? And it's just a crazy time, yeah. Like I remember telling my dad, I would never do Christian hip hop, Dad. That's not for me, man. I gotta stay doing what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? But look at us now, and it's right there with it. I mean, the quality's there, the quality's arriving, and I just feel it's a great time for hip hop, man. As far as a lot of the things that are going on, things that I don't like, or possibly I let Marty speak on that because he knows what I don't like about that too. But I mean, I just feel like it's just coming to a good place in music. You got things to show for that, like Airborne, the Love Hate demos, Summer George, Lunar, things coming from Miami, big records, man. So I'm just happy to be a part of it. Right. Absolutely. Yep.
I think one of the things that I mean, it's easy to point fingers and say it's not good, but it takes someone with a big heart to say, hey, well, it's not good, but we're going to fix it. And that's one thing we want to do. It's almost like, you ever seen a picture of yourself and you're like, you look in the mirror and you're like, I look good, and then you see a picture of yourself and you're like, I didn't know I had two chins. Like, I'm really fat in this picture. Like, you're like, what is this? And sometimes you need that person, that perspective at a different angle to say, hey, you do have two chins. Hey, you are messed up here. You are, and I feel like we see it, and it's not a purpose to point it and laugh at it. It's like the purpose to fix it. And I know we can't fix it. That's almost like a prideful statement to say we can fix it, but I feel like God's given us a heart to turn things. And one of those things is work ethic. We want to consistently drop. I mean, it's been a year we've been out. Really, I mean, we dropped our first project in June. That was our first official project. I remember even for the first project, we literally were going to drop it on my birthday, June 8th. And we said, hey, if you want the project early, just as a joke, you want the project early, hit up Rapzilla. We had like 1,000 kids hit us up, hit Rapzilla up. And that was crazy because that was the beginning of our, music. And I feel like God has definitely placed us, I feel like, you listen to a secular artist, I don't even know what that means, but you listen to any other artist who's on the radio and they're quick with it. You're going to hear a song almost every month. You're going to hear Rick Ross is doing this, or Wayne is doing this, Big Sean. And then you hear Christian music, it's like, all right, they dropped one project and maybe in 2 years they'll drop another one. And it's almost like, so kids lose interest. And so one of the things we always want to do, no worries, that was weird. One of the things we always want to do is consistently drop music that is quick, high quality, and change your heart. And so, I mean, one of the things I want to fix is two things, actually, major things, is work ethic. I think as a whole, the body of Christ needs to be on their J-O-B, working. Drop the music. Let's do it. If not, do something, and just don't waste your talents, because I feel like, we have to reach this generation any way we can. So let's do it, let's do it.
And put it out.
And the thing is this, you think about this, every song you drop is another soul you reach. So think about that. That's another song that someone's going to hear that they, might not have heard if you didn't open your mouth. The Bible even says that who is going to hear the gospel unless we open our mouths? So for us, it's been like, let's drop music. So let's see how many people we can reach. And it's reached a bunch. The second thing is I'm not really feeling cosigns. We have a lot of friends who I guess are bigger names, but at the end of the day, it's Social Club, and we're always going to be our own brand. We don't need somebody saying, hey, they're dope, and if it wasn't for them saying, hey, they're dope, we don't have a career. Even we just dropped the project Summer at George, and we didn't really have any big names co-sign us, and we didn't want that because we wanted it to be on our own strength, to test that muscle. And that's one thing that iTunes did for us. I mean, it really tested our own strength. We didn't have any really, publicity, marketing. It was just us, and we still were able to hit top 10. That was God's favor. So I know that God's up to something, and the thing is this: we're not alone. And it would be prideful to be like, hey, we're changing it. But no, I feel like God's blessed, our crew here. I mean, Ray King and Anthony Rose, Andy Mineo, We Live as Kings, Alex Faith, Dre Murray, all these people, Tragic Hero. It's like this new generation, this new wave of artists that have the same purpose of mind. It's like the older generation and what we used to have, like the old wineskin, they would debate a lot. And I feel like that was like the major thing when I think of Christian hip-hop back in the day, debating, theology. Now I feel like artists are connecting on a new level of music and Jesus. It's all about Jesus. I don't care what you believe theology-wise, as long as we believe in Jesus and his saving grace. And it's like we get to connect faster because this generation, we see the need and we're like, let's just do it. Let's just connect. It doesn't matter what you believe as long as we can connect on a similar point instead of arguing about differences. So, I mean, I feel like just the whole wave, I just unloaded on you, but that's a whole wave that we're a part of. And it feels good. It feels fresh. It's new. It's all new. It's something that's very different, and I love it. And you know what? I would have to say this really quick is we needed the older generation, and we still need it. And so one thing that God's been doing with me and Fern is connecting us with people that we used to work with. We used to listen to growing up. So, I mean, we just got to tour with KJ52, two shows. And, I mean, he's the first Christian hip-hop CD I ever got. And he had such a big impact on me. And God's been connecting us to our roots and reminding us of, where we came from. So it's almost like a humbling experience to realize that it's way bigger than us. And we serve an awesomely big God.
Shout out KG52, man. He really sat us down and just like imparted some wisdom into us and just like gave us like 25 years of like wisdom in like 2 hours. So I just got to give a big shout out to him. Look out for some music. Social Club and KG52, I don't know exactly when, but that's already in the works.
Yeah.
But we really look up to those guys, and we thank God for just putting them in our lives, because this is new to us, man. Like, we got here fast, man. I mean, I've been rapping forever. Marty been doing this thing forever, but as far as social, the Lord took that, moved that fast. Everybody sees that, and people been able to see the growth on Instagram and Twitter. It's like a baby. Like, they have their baby. That's how I feel like the kids love us so much, because it's like their baby. They've seen it from zero to, like, Misfits every day. So I just want to give a shout out to the Misfits, too, because without y'all, it's crazy right now.
What's really funny is this. I was thinking this on the way over here. All right, so right now we're in the month of September 6th, I think. So last year in September, we were trying to get to 500 followers. We were trying to we were dropping this song called Stacks. Remember Anthony? That was your first
right before that.
Yeah. I mean, we were trying to drop Stacks right before Misfits, which dropped on November 25th. Now, fast forward today, we have about 6,000 followers on Twitter. So you see how quick it happens. And you know what? I just want to encourage anybody out. This is a side note. It just hit me. I want to encourage anybody that feels like maybe they missed their time. And I just want to let you know that it's all in God's timing. Because it doesn't matter when you go on. Because if it's right and it's God's timing, it's like the supernatural increase will happen. And for us, I feel like it's just God's timing because there's a need in the generation. And you know what? Here's the thing. I don't want to, again, I'm not trying to be prideful. If we didn't step up, someone else would have. Because there is a need for this generation for people to know that we serve an amazing God. There's kids that are dying out there, that are hurting, that, are struggling with just life. And T.D. Jakes always says, sometimes life just happens. It's life. Sometimes you lose somebody. Sometimes you go to a school, you rub someone the wrong way, and now they're making fun of you. And that's just life. And the Bible obviously is our textbook of how we maneuver through life. But it also feels good to have somebody like a brother, to be like, hey, I know what you're going through, and I love you, and I'm here with you no matter what happens. And so everything that we talk about on records is things that we just live. I mean, we have our brotherhood here of just people who we love and we believe in. It's home team. It's our circle. We love each other. We're honest with each other. I mean, I've cried with these boys. They've seen our lives, and I've seen their lives. And this community that we have here is exactly the community that you see on social media when we go on tour and stuff like that. It's just we're misfits, and we don't fit in, and it's okay. And it's okay not to fit in. I think that, truthfully, me and Ferg can definitely agree on this. It depends on your definition of arrived. For us, I don't feel like we have, because I feel like we have so much work to do. And for our vision and our dreams, arrived means revival and seeing lives changed. Arrive to us is it's never gonna happen. We always, I mean, the point of Social Club, at the end of the day, flat out the line, is to reach kids and people who have no identity and are lonely. And one thing we always talk about is we always try to reach outside the church, but there are people in the church that are lonely and sad and suicidal, bullied, don't know who they are, and that's why I feel like when you get out of like a youth group, the drop rate from between youth group and young adult is like 90%, because there is still like this need to reach the generation. There's always going to be this need. So for us, arrived musically, purpose wise, it's different. I don't feel like even musically we have arrived to where we want to be. I know that we have met some amazing people, done some dope music, and got to go on a lot of stages and tour a lot. But I know that this is just the beginning. My heart, and I know Fern's heart, is to see a generation who serves God, who loves God, and a generation that understands that they're not alone.
How does that get, or can it be misconstrued with so many other things going on with Social Club, as far as so many songs releasing, the fact that you guys don't really care what people think, and just an approach that's so different from what anybody else has done. And when I say that, I say it in this genre, not just general hip hop, because in general hip hop, I mean, there's crazier things going down. But to me, how does that not get diluted or missing between so many things that is actually happening with you guys? Because as I know, I have so many records, it's crazy, and there's so many that are dropping on a consistent basis. How does that not get diluted in between all that?
I mean, I know at first we used to drop a lot of music like crazy, and just getting our name out there and things of that nature, and just trying to get the people familiar with to what we were doing, and But for the most part, I feel like we've disciplined ourselves. Like we have dropped a bunch of projects in the last year, but I mean, for the most part, it's not all crazy. It's more themed out. It's more like there's more schematic to it, you know what I mean?
Reason behind.
Absolutely.
And I definitely feel like this is something that we have always tried to do, is to raise the standard. Because you'll get a lot of tracks, and then some tracks you'll be like, oh, that's a good track, but their last track was better, and this track. So we always try to have this, evolving sound of just newness. So every track you see, we want you to be excited. Okay, what are they going to do next? What's going to sound like? And we've always tried to do that. So, and another thing is that we're considered by a lot to be like a chaos in the industry. I mean, we release more free music than we do actual music, and that travels even more. And we know that most of the generation doesn't really have money to buy it, and if they're gonna do it, they're gonna steal it anyway. So God has provided in other ways, which is great. And we'll always sell music, and we're always gonna have to try to find a balance there. But at the end of the day, I mean, for us, we're gonna reach a generation, I mean, with crazy things, and we're just gonna have this crazy obedience. And sometimes crazy obedience is doing something that does not make sense to God. But God takes those things, I mean, you think about like this, a lot of artists right now that have been in the game for 10 years, like 7, 10, and they drop this is no shots fired, but they'll drop a project and the buzz around it's like not as strong as when we drop a project. And it's not like, I'm not trying to be rude about it, it's just one of those things where we've invested in the generation and then they have invested in us. And that's what you get what you give, and we, at the end of the day, are going to be known to be givers. And, we had a question the other day. It's like, how does Social Club make our money? But God always provides. And so it doesn't matter, because we have been on tour literally for the last year every single week. And God has provided, and it's fun. It's good to do what God has called you to do and what you've been made to do. And on top of that, it's crazy and scary at the same time to be obedient and say that, okay, God's going to have to come through, and he does every single time.
Absolutely.